When you discover that fairy tales are lies, the pain cuts deeper for having believed them in the first place. On Mars, those lies didn't come wrapped in castles and dragons, but in recruitment videos and propaganda, holograms of shining domes, smiling families, fertile biodomes blooming green against the rust-red desert. That's how Serena's stories start. The day the tax collector comes to their habitat is the day fairy tales prove to be lies. They'd been Serena's refuge since childhood, old. Earth tales beamed to Mars, common girls rescued by noble captains, worlds terraformed by miracles, bodies healed by nanites overnight. Growing up in an outer ring slum, she'd clung to the foolish hope that perhaps a kind force would come help her one day, that someday her empty womb would quicken with life despite low gravity damage, that the shame of her barrenness would transform into the joy of motherhood. But hope was a treacherous thing, as it turned out, because when it's finally crushed, you suffer not just the ache of your circumstances, but the sharper pain of having dared to dream at all. The tax collector's golden eyes glowed softly in the dim blue light of their failing life support panels. His massive frame nearly filled the airlock, blocking out the pale sunlight that filtered through the dust-streaked dome. Serena watched from the shadows of the cramped habitat as her father held Aurora tight against his chest, shielding her younger sister as if the beta enforcer might grab her at any moment, which wasn't far from the truth. The oxygen tariffs have doubled this cycle. The beta's voice rumbled through their tiny home, vibrating in the metal walls. By order of Governor Darius of the Central Dome, Serena's father shook with fear. Like everyone in their outer sector, colonist and gene-modded alike, he was terrified of the governor. Stories spread along the data lines about Darius's cruelty, rumors that even other enhanced soldiers feared him. At least the gene-modded had some protection under corporate law. Baseline humans were basically property, workers to be used and discarded. And Serena? She was considered worse than human, born to gene-modded parents but unable to sync with the wolf-coated nanites in her blood. She'd never shifted, never accessed the wolf-augmented combat form all in her family. Carried, wolfless, useless. Her family's shamed twice over. First for being nanite dead, then for being barren, cast off by her mate after 5 years of failed attempts to conceive in Mars's fragile gravity. Her father had taken her back with bitter reluctance, another mouth to feed on their precious rations. With no bride price, no dowry, no status to show for it. The sector whispered that her defects ran deeper than anyone had known. "My lord," her father's voice cracked, "we've had a poor algae harvest. Our oxygen credits barely sustain us. If you could grant us more time, you know the penalty for failing to pay." The beta cut in. His golden eyes slid to Aurora, who whimpered and pressed closer to their father. "The governor requires new labor for Central Dome," the beta said. "He likes them young. This one will do nicely." Serena's body went rigid. Everyone knew what happened to Governor Darius's slaves. They disappeared into his bright, sterile tower in the Central Dome and were never seen again. "But she's promised to be bonded," their father protested desperately. "She has a strong wolf code. She'll bear powerful offspring for the Dome Guard." He stopped suddenly. Serena's heart sank as his gaze darted to where she stood in the shadows. "Take my eldest daughter instead," the beta sneered. "You offer the governor a defective half-breed?" "She's already proven useless for breeding," her father said, the words hitting Serena like physical blows. "Her mate cast her off. She's perfect for labor, practically baseline already and barren besides. No loss to the dome. No loss to the dome." The beta repeated the phrase slowly, almost amused. "But then, what gain to the governor?" "She tells stories," Aurora blurted out, then shrank back from the beta's sharp glance. "Beautiful stories." Serena closed her eyes briefly. How many times had they mocked her storytelling, called it a shameful human habit beneath the dignity of their enhanced kind? Yet now they offered it up like a prize, the only value they could find in their broken daughter. "Show him, Serena." Her father grabbed her arm, yanking her forward until her knees hit the metal floor. "Tell him yourself." Serena lifted her head slowly. At least as a slave, she thought with bitter clarity, no one would expect her to bear children she could never give them. "I would be honored to serve Governor Darius in any way he wishes, my lord," she said. The beta studied her for a long time. There was something calculating in his gaze that made her skin crawl. Finally, he nodded. "Very well. The defective one will do." As they left the outer sector behind, the transport rattling along the mag line toward the central dome, Serena didn't look back at her family. She'd learned long ago that stories were the only escape that mattered. Tonight, in whatever cell awaited her, she'd imagine a story where her family saved her, where her sister fought for her, where her father regretted his choice. A story where being different didn't mean being broken, where a woman's worth wasn't measured by the children she could bear or the nanites she could sink. She was good at making up happy endings, even if they never came true, especially because they never came true. If you've started to enjoy this dark tale set on Mars, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the rest. Now, let's continue our journey to the central dome. When the sun rose over Mars, thin and pale through the red dust haze, Serena caught her first glimpse of Governor Darius's tower. It speared up from the central dome like a blade of light, white alloy and crystal panels gleaming beneath the transparent shield. It was more stunning than anything she could have imagined out in the rusted outskirts, yet its flawless appearance made her uneasy. She knew from stories that breathtaking beauty often hid dark secrets. Yet its flawless appearance made her uneasy. She knew from stories that breathtaking beauty often hid dark secrets. The beta enforcer who brought her there shifted from wolf form back into human right outside the main gate, clothes reforming from the adaptive nanofiber lining his skin. He grabbed her arm roughly. "Move," he ordered, leading her not through the grand airlock where officials floated in and out on sleek shuttles, but down a narrow maintenance corridor beneath the dome plating. They entered through a service hatch. The air grew colder and more metallic as they descended, deeper and deeper below the shining tower, until they reached a chamber of harsh white light and steel walls, where 5 other girls huddled together, all looking terrified. Serena kept her face blank. She refused to let anyone see her fear. "Strip," snapped a stern woman with iron gray hair and amber wolf-augmented eyes. The ring around her iris pulsed faintly with nanite activity. "Now." The girls hesitated. "You belong to the governor," the woman barked. "Your body, your skills, your dignity. All of it is his now. What you thought was yours, including your privacy, belongs to central administration." One by one, they undressed under the cold gaze of cameras in the corners. Serena moved methodically, folding her clothes neatly, refusing to show her humiliation, even as the recycled air prickled against her bare skin. "Decontamination chamber," the woman ordered. They were herded into another room where jets of freezing sterilization mist blasted them from all sides. Serena gasped as the first burst hit her, the shock stealing her breath. Mechanical arms extended from the walls, scrubbing every inch of her skin with abrasive foam until it felt raw. Her hair was washed twice with harsh cleanser, then combed mercilessly to remove every tangle. "The governor won't have outer sector filth contaminating his dome," the gray-haired woman said, watching their discomfort with thinly veiled enjoyment. "Though I doubt any of you will last the month. You're hardly the elite specimens he usually prefers." One girl began to cry silently. "Save your tears," the woman sneered. "Governor Darius is not known for mercy. Learn your place quickly or face reassignment." They were given plain gray shifts spun from low-grade synth fiber and marched through a list of strict rules. Where to walk, who to speak to, which doors never to approach, how to address enhanced officers, and the consequences of disobedience. "Tonight," the woman's voice dropped, "one of you will serve the governor's special guest." The way she said special guest made Serena's stomach knot. Images flashed through her mind, being thrown into some lab as an experimental subject, fed to some hybrid predator, turned into a test object for military nanites. The governor himself will select which of you has the honor, the woman concluded, looking them over like inventory. You'll be presented to him shortly. Try not to be completely pathetic. They were led up a narrow stairwell into a small antechamber with polished alloy flooring. Ordered to line up and keep their eyes lowered, they waited in tense silence. Beyond the door, footsteps approached, heavy, measured, surrounded by softer, deferential ones. The atmosphere shifted instantly. The stern woman who'd been tormenting them moments before went rigid, her earlier confidence evaporating. A hand pressed roughly on the back of Serena's neck, forcing her head lower. "His Excellency, Governor Darius," announced a voice. The floor beneath Serena's bare feet seemed to vibrate with each step he took, as if the structure itself responded to his presence. She kept her eyes glued to the reflective surface, but the air grew heavy, charged with a pressure that pressed against her skin like a physical force. "The new arrivals, sir," said a male voice, tight with deference. "For your guests' requirements." A long silence. Serena could hear the shaky breathing of the girls beside her, one of them trembling so violently that Serena could feel the vibrations through the floor. "They're all cowering," came a deep voice that resonated through Serena's very bones. It held neither cruelty nor kindness, just weary disappointment, as though this was exactly what he'd expected. How tiresome. Something in that voice, its casual power, its inherent command, made it impossible for Serena not to look. All the hero captains of the stories she'd read were described with such overwhelming grandeur. She'd always wondered if real leaders could possibly live up to those legends. Despite her fear, curiosity won. Slowly, against every instinct for self-preservation, she raised her eyes. What she saw made every Hollywood hero in her memory fade to a pale glitch. Governor Darius wasn't merely handsome. He was engineered, sublime in a way that made her storyteller's mind scramble for comparisons. She found none adequate. Broader than any soldier she'd seen in the outer sector, with high cheekbones sharp enough to cut light and lips set in a natural curve of faint mockery, he was a savage kind of beautiful no artist could capture. His skin was marked faintly with lines that were not scars, but the ghost traces of past enhancements, long since integrated. But his eyes, gods of dead earth, his eyes, something ancient and feral lived in those golden irises, something that did not belong entirely to a man born under a dome. And then those eyes snapped to hers. Serena jerked her gaze back to the floor, heart pounding so hard it almost drowned out the hum of the tower's reactors. "Excellency?" the attendant prompted softly. "Have you chosen?" Serena felt rather than saw his attention linger on her, a weight that pinned her in place. "She'll do," he said simply. She knew without looking he was pointing at her. Serena is now drawn into the most dangerous secrets at the heart of Mars. If you've listened this far, type Mars below, so I know if you want to see the rest. Serena stood before the massive alloy door, her heart hammering. The corridor here was colder, as if the warmth of recycled air refused to cross this threshold. Next to her, the stern servant woman smirked, though her augment glowing eyes betrayed a hint of unease. "Please the governor's guest however he desires," she whispered. "Or tomorrow you'll wish we'd simply vented you out the airlock." Her voice faltered almost imperceptibly on the word guest. The guard at the door looked nervous too, hand tight on his pulse rifle despite the secure hallway. When Serena met his gaze, he looked away quickly. From inside the suite, a sound echoed. A low, distorted rumble somewhere between a growl and a glitching reactor, vibrating through the door. The guard flinched and shoved Serena inside. It was more than just a room. It was a vast private module, a luxury suite that took up an entire level. The air inside was thick with overlapping scents, imported spices from Earth, synthetic flowers, and something wilder underneath. Ozone, metal, and the sharp tang of spilled nanites. A mirror on the far wall caught Serena's eye, but when she turned toward it, her reflection flickered faintly, the glass shimmering as if reality itself hesitated to show her. "Is anyone there?" she asked quietly. Someone was watching. She felt it, an unseen gaze, heavy and invasive, like a scanner pressed too long against your skin. In the shadows beyond the main seating area, something moved just at the edge of her vision. She took one cautious step forward, then another, until a banquet table slid into view. Roasted synth meats, bowls of vibrant fruits flown in from hydroponic gardens in the inner rings, and golden candelabras flickering with real fire rather than LEDs. Serena didn't dare touch anything. At the back of the suite, thick black drapes hung from ceiling to floor. Pulling them aside, she froze. A massive sleeping platform filled the space, absurdly wide and layered with silken sheets printed with constellations as seen from ancient Earth. The setup was clear now, the knowing looks from the staff, the unease of the guard, the meal, and this gigantic bed. She was to be used. Her stomach lurched. She pressed a hand to her mouth. Then she saw it. A package resting atop the bed with a card bearing her name in elegant script. With dread pooling in her gut, she unwrapped the parcel. A gown spilled into her hands, midnight dark and shimmering with micro-threaded gold, catching the faint starlight from artificial skylights overhead. Beautiful, horrifying, like a shroud woven from the night side of Mars. The temperature dropped, the air feeling suddenly thin, as if the dome's shield had cracked and vacuum was trying to pull the warmth away. Footsteps sounded behind her, heavy, uneven, accompanied by the faint scrape of claw against alloy. Something big, joints popping, bones reshaping, a low, ragged groan, quickly stifled. "Put it on," a voice said. The sound was deep and wrong, as if language was being pushed through a throat built for roaring, not speaking. It vibrated through her bones, made the hair on her arms stand up. Serena swallowed hard and retreated behind a folding screen. Her fingers shook as she slipped out of her gray shift and into the gown. The fabric slid over her skin like cold water. On the small vanity behind the screen, she found a necklace waiting, a collar of diamond-like stars, stones grown in 0G, glittering with captured light. "Should I wear this too?" she whispered. Silence. Then, closer now. "Yes." Serena clasped it around her throat. The weight was suffocating. She stepped out from behind the screen. The main room seemed empty, the feast untouched. But the presence remained. "Please eat," the voice rumbled. She hesitated, then picked up a small piece of bread, her hand trembling. It tasted rich and warm, and turned to ash in her mouth. Behind her, something moved. A shadow fell across the table. "Do you like the dress?" the creature asked. "Yes," she managed, her voice barely more than a breath. "Stand." Her knees wobbled as she obeyed. The creature emerged further into the half-light, revealing a limb first. It was not a human hand, but a massive, grotesque appendage, long fingers sheathed in metallic plating, ending in sharp, retractable claws. "Turn around," the beast said. She did, slowly. Her gaze traveled upward and upward still. He was too large, too twisted for this polished, perfect dome. His muzzle bristled with jagged teeth, his body an unstable fusion of enhanced wolf, failed nanite warform, and something else. Something older, wilder, like Mars itself had risen and tried to wear a body. A scream built in her throat. Instead, what slipped out was, "Were you cursed?" The beast recoiled as if struck. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "That was presumptuous." "No." The voice was quieter now, rough, but less monstrous. "How did you know?" "I've read A lot of stories, she said shakily. Old tales from Earth, about princes turned into beasts by witches, soldiers merged with war forms they couldn't control, people punished by being turned into the thing they feared most. She stopped, realizing she was babbling. I'm rambling, she muttered. Go on, the beast said. Tell me. So she did. One story, then another, about curses and monsters and the fragile humanity hidden beneath horror. Time blurred. The candles burned low. Thank you for your company, the beast said at last, voice softer, almost reluctant. Relief flooded her. She had survived the night using the only weapon she had ever truly possessed. Stories. Then will you be my wife? He asked. Serena's breath stilled. I cannot, she whispered, horrified by the sudden, impossible question. The beast rose, towering over her. Then I have no use for you, he said. The finality in his words froze the air around them. Would the governor have her executed for displeasing his monstrous guest? Would she be reassigned to some lab or worse? Panic clawed at her throat, but her storyteller's mind worked faster than fear. I am held by those who cannot touch me, broken by those who never speak me, and kept by those who never sought me. Kings command me, but I command fate. What am I? She said, the riddle spilling out before she could reconsider. The beast stilled, massive head tilting. What is this? He growled. A riddle, Serena said. Her voice steadied slightly. From a story I know. She lifted her chin, summoning courage from some hidden reserve. If you can solve this riddle, she said, then I will be yours. And if I cannot, he asked, then until you do, I hope you will allow me to return, to tell you more stories. The creature stared at her for what felt like forever. Then, to her astonishment, he exhaled. Tomorrow night, he said. Do not be late. Serena is bargaining with Mars' biggest secret. If you think you know the answer to the riddle, write it in the comments. Let's see how many people get it right.